Revealed. Incredible showdown at the dojo. A black woman's hidden strength shocks everyone. Shauna stood at the edge of the dojo, heart pounding as she watched her daughter, Maya, spar with a fellow competitor. Every punch and kick was electric, the air thick with excitement. This was more than just training for Maya. It was the most significant moment of their lives. They had faced so much, yet here they were, on the brink of turning dreams into reality. Striving to prove that a single mother and her gifted daughter could rise above whispers of doubt, the local diner, where Shauna juggled trays of burgers and milkshakes. She always reminded Maya, hard work pays off. Those words weren't just a mantra, they were a lifeline. With each late-night shift, Shauna fought to give her daughter the chance to showcase her karate skills at the national championships. But behind every dollar earned was the struggle against prejudice that loomed like a shadow over their lives. Then came the day of reckoning. Shauna's phone buzzed with a message that unraveled her world. Her estranged father was in town. A celebrated war veteran. He had once been the pride of the community, but his recent comments about race and gender hit her like a sucker punch. The man who had abandoned her, now spewing hate, felt like a betrayal of the very values she instilled in Maya. The anger brewed inside her, clashing violently with the hope she held for their future. How could she reconcile this man, a symbol of her heritage, with the beliefs she abhorred? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The dojo had become a sanctuary, a space where progress felt tangible. Every drop of sweat was a reminder that they were defying the odds. As Maya embraced her next challenge, Shauna decided to join in on the training, kicking away her insecurities along with the pads. The two women, bound by an unbreakable bond, moved in sync, proving that hard work could forge resilience. Each session was empowering, tearing down the walls built by societal judgment. Whispers echoed around the community as Maya's championship date approached. Would they see a young black girl and her mother triumph over the prejudice that whispered through their streets? The bleachers would be filled with onlookers, murmuring doubts yet cheering for them all the same. For Shauna, standing against her father's legacy was tough, but she too had dreams of her own dreams. She couldn't silence as the day arrived. Shauna felt her heart seize. Maya was about to face her biggest challenge yet. In the bleachers, she could already hear the crowd roaring, feel the weight of expectations pressing down on her. This was a defining moment. Could they really change the narrative for themselves and their community? But as the final match began, tension thickened the air. A sudden confrontation stirred within Shauna. Would she stand firm against the tides of her past? Would she embrace her identity and the weight of her decisions? The answers were at stake, teetering on the edge of a single powerful moment. The match began, and Maya moved gracefully, her focus unwavering. Every strike felt solid, like a dancer in a perfectly choreographed performance. But for Shauna, watching from the sidelines, it was more than just a fight. It was a battle against all the hurt, all the dismissal she had faced. The crowd erupted with cheers, but there were whispers too, doubts that crept like shadows in the light. "Come on, Maya," Shauna shouted, her voice breaking through the noise, filled with encouragement and hope. But as she cheered, her thoughts drifted to her father. Why, after all these years, did he choose now to surface? The past felt like a jagged scar, one she thought had faded but now surged with fresh pain. If she confronted him, would he understand her choices? Would he be proud of the woman she had become? Maya landed a fierce roundhouse kick. The crowd roared, but Shauna's heart thudded, a reminder of the roots she was trying to sever. Needing to channel her emotional turmoil, she turned away from the match for a brief moment, catching a glimpse of the balcony where her father stood. He clutched the metal railing as if it was the only thing keeping him steady. His stern expression met her eyes, igniting a mix of anger and defiance within her. Suddenly, the opponent landed a blow on Maya, and Shauna's breath caught in her throat. Maya stumbled back, yet within seconds, she righted herself, determination blazing in her eyes. Shauna couldn't look away. She remembered the times they had fallen, both in practice and in life, yet rose again together. Maya, she shouted again, her voice rising above the din. Remember why we fight. In that instant, something shifted in Maya's stance. The defeat momentarily flickered in her eyes, but then it was gone, replaced by a fire that lit up her entire being. She moved with newfound vigor, combinations of punches and kicks flowing seamlessly. Shauna's heart swelled, the pride swelling against the tide of anxiety. But the match wasn't just a competition, it mirrored her own battle. Each time Maya struck, it was as if she were striking back against the prejudices of their community, against the toxic beliefs that threatened her identity. The weight of everything that had led them to this moment was heavy and electric, and Shauna felt the enormity of it all pressing down on her shoulders. As the seconds ticked away, the match escalated. The crowd roared, caught in the adrenaline. Shauna's breath quickened. Would they win? Or would they fall to the doubts that had plagued them for so long? Maya was right there, on the cusp of victory. A strong left hook, a swift spin kick, she was on fire. But in the back of Shauna's mind lingered a thought. What would it mean to win this match while grappling with her past? With only seconds remaining, Maya launched into a final sequence, looking as if time had slowed. Shauna's heart raced, but she could see something else in her daughter's eyes. A deep understanding that transcended victory or defeat. It was the strength of knowing who she was, unshakable and bright. Then it struck like lightning. Maya landed the final blow, and the sound of the bell rang in Shauna's ears. The dojo erupted, but within Shauna, uncertainty still lingered. Would this victory alleviate the pain of the past? As Maya's name echoed around the room, Shauna knew that the tides of change were only beginning. The journey ahead was still fraught with grit and heartbreak, yet also filled with the promise of growth. She scanned the crowd, catching a glimpse of her father's reaction. His expression revealed confusion, maybe even a touch of admiration. The battle had begun, but it didn't start or end on the dojo mat. What would unfold next when Shauna took that pivotal step to confront her father? As she turned to face the unknown, tension thrummed through the air. The next phase of their journey was just beginning. The crowd was a cacophony of cheers and stunned silence, a mix of chaos that matched the turmoil brewing inside Shauna. She took a deep breath, her chest tight with adrenaline and anxiety. The honor of Maya's victory was almost overshadowed by the looming confrontation with her father. Would this moment be a breakthrough, or just another reminder of all the hurt buried between them? As the crowd began to disperse, Shauna found herself caught in a trance, staring at her father on the balcony. His eyes reflected an emotion she couldn't quite decipher. Was it regret? Pride? Whatever it was, it called to her, scraping against old wounds as she fought to keep her composure. Maya, she said softly, urgency threading through her voice. Just give me a moment. Maya, still awash in triumph, nodded and started to interact with the other fighters, her joy bright and infectious. But Shauna needed to focus. She moved slowly through the buzzing dojo. The world around her felt muted. Each step toward her father felt like wading through thick fog. The tall man remained rooted by the railing, radiating an uneasy energy. As Shauna approached, memories whipped through her mind, his heavy-handed expectations, his silence during pivotal moments in her life, the hollowness of never truly feeling seen. Dad, her voice trembled slightly, and she steadied herself, searching his face for warmth. Why are you here? The question hung in the air, heavy and bright, like a beacon. It was a challenge, a plea. His eyes narrowed, grappling with the weight of the moment, and for a heartbeat, she could almost see the gears in his mind turning. I wanted to see it for myself, he finally replied, his voice low and gritty. You're becoming someone strong. She felt a flicker of hope, but it quickly sputtered out. But it's not just about strength, Dad. You missed so much. I needed you then. Why now? His jaw tightened. I'm not asking for forgiveness, Shauna. Then what? She cut him off, voice rising. What do you want from me? To just stand here and pretend everything is fine? He flinched, and in a blink, she could see the man beyond the father, the boy who once had dreams, the man who lost his way. It wasn't just her pain she saw. It was a reflection of insecurities she could only imagine. I want to understand, he said finally, the words slow and deliberate. You've become a woman I hardly recognize. I don't want to be ashamed of you anymore. Ashamed. That word struck deep, twisting a knife that had never fully healed. You want to understand me? In what way? By coming back when it's convenient for you? Maya's voice broke into the tension, calling out for her mom to join in the celebrations. But Shauna felt stuck, standing at the edge of an emotional cliff. Just listen to Maya. You haven't seen her fight today. You don't know what she is capable of. The crowd's laughter and cheers surged like waves against the shoreline, oblivious to the battle unfolding just a few feet away. Shauna hesitated, then stepped closer, lowering her voice. But I want to let the past define us. If you want a relationship, it can't just be about catching up. You need to meet me where I stand. He looked down, swallowing hard as if she had handed him a weight he couldn't shoulder. What if I can't? He whispered, vulnerability cracking through his stoic exterior. Her heart raced, the answer hanging in the air between them. Could she find a way to love him again? To forgive? Or would the scars from their shared history keep them locked in this painful space forever? With a glimmer of resilience, she stepped back, heart pounding. The dojo buzzed around them, but she felt adrift suspended between past and future. What would happen next? Would this moment spiral into the confrontation she feared, or would it open a door they both desperately needed to walk through? Maya skipped over, smile bright and warm. Mom, come celebrate with me. Shauna hesitated. A decision loomed large before her. She turned slightly, catching her father's gaze. Could she forgive him? Could he find the strength to meet her? Halfway as she had with her own battles, as shouts of victory rang in her ears, she felt the first stirrings of hope. But what would she do next? The air was thick with questions waiting for answers. Would this be the beginning of healing, or just another layer of unresolved pain? Shauna felt the weight of the moment pressing down on her, like a storm cloud ready to burst. As Maya's laughter echoed through the dojo, it cut through the tension, offering a brief reminder of what mattered most. Her daughter was safe, thriving. The thought brought a flicker of warmth, but it didn't chase away the chill creeping into Shauna's heart. Mom. Maya's voice rang again, vibrant and insistent. You have to see everyone. They're all celebrating. Shauna shifted her gaze back to her father. His expression was a mix of uncertainty and something he seldom showed want. It took every ounce of strength within her not to recoil. Could she really embrace this chance? Or would she regret letting him back in? I'll be right there, she told Maya, raising her voice just enough to be heard over the gathering buzz. The urgency in her daughter's tone pulled at something deep within her. But standing before her father felt like picking at a wound. The scars were still there, still RAWS. Maya dashed off to mingle. The crowd's energy seemed to swell around her, capturing the vibrancy of victory. Shauna turned slowly back to her father, each step dragging against reluctance. I'm not asking for a perfect relationship, she started, her words cautiously weighed. But there's so much ground to cover between us. Ground that I've avoided, he admitted with a heavy sigh, the reality of those words hanging between them. I made mistakes, and even if I can't change the past, I want to try to understand who you are now. His eyes, usually so distant, held a spark of sincerity. Shauna felt a tremor of hope. But could she trust it? Understanding isn't just a word or a conversation, Dad. It's showing up consistently, not just today, she replied, uncovering the raw honesty buried under their history. I need to know you're in this for the long haul. I won't take half measures anymore. His brow furrowed, and it almost felt like the air shifted around them, creating a quiet bubble apart from the joy brimming in the dojo. What if I stumble? He asked quietly, vulnerability tracing his features. Shauna bit her lower lip, holding back tears. Then we'll stumble together. I don't want perfection, I want progress. I want to feel like I can finally lean on you. Time stretched, making each beat feel monumental as they stood on the precipice of change. There was a part of her that wanted to run, to escape this unfolding moment, but she also felt a tug urging her to stay. This was a dance of opening, not just digging up buried grievances. Suddenly, Maya reappeared, pulling Shauna back into the fray. Mom, look, they want to celebrate you too. Her excitement radiated positivity, brightening the space. Shauna forced a smile but felt a rush of anxiety as it turned back to her father. I can't be part of the celebrations until we talk more. We also need to address what you missed along the way. His eyes shifted, wavering between the joy of the celebration and the struggle of their conversation. A palpable tension lingered around them, threading everything together past pain intertwined with the hope of healing. Okay, he murmured, the sound barely breaking above the joy surrounding them. But promise me you'll give me a chance to prove I want this. To prove I can change. The stakes whispered between them, charged and electric. Shauna hesitated, heart racing. Could she do this? Could she trust him enough to take that leap? Maybe, she said finally, the word hanging, unsure and fragile. But it was a step, however small. Just then, a loud cheer erupted from the crowd as another fighter won their match, the sound reverberating through the dojo like a living pulse. Shauna glanced at the gathering of familiar faces, view adorned with excitement and happiness. Yet amid their celebration, uncertainty remained between her and her father. As if sensing the unsteady ground beneath them, he reached out. Just one more chance. The world around them blurred, the moment stretching into the unknown as they both took tentative steps toward a bridge that could lead to healing. Would they be strong enough to cross it together? With every cheer echoing in her ears, Shauna understood deep down this was only the beginning. The path ahead was unclear, but deep down she felt the promise of change whispering in the air. Maybe, she repeated softly, uncertainty cloaked in resolve. Often, those were the words that birthed transformation. As the crowd swelled again with laughter and celebration, Shauna realized they were about to embark on a journey neither had anticipated. She was filled with both fear and hesitant excitement. But would her father take that step with her? Would she be ready to let him? The questions tangled in her mind like a loaded punch. The answers awaited on the other side. The noise of the dojo surged like an ocean wave crashing, pulling Shauna deeper into the celebration. Bright lights danced across jubilant faces, laughter blending into raucous cheers, but those sounds felt distant, muted. She was acutely aware of the weight pressing upon her heart. The pending conversation with her father hovered like a thick fog, both ominous and necessary. Mom. Maya's voice cut through her thoughts again, the whirlpool of excitement pulling Shauna closer to her daughter. Maya was bright, her eyes sparkling with an energy that made Shauna smile, if only for a moment. Come on. With a slight nod, Shauna stepped away from her father, the relief washing over her like a cool breeze. Yet it was only temporary. She needed to find her footing in this unfamiliar territory where old wounds threatened to resurface. Once among the throng, Shauna felt her heartbeat settle into a familiar rhythm. Familiar faces greeted her with open arms and wide smiles. There she is, someone shouted, clasping her shoulders. We're so proud of you, Shauna. The warmth of community wrapped around her, igniting hope within. Perhaps here, in this bustling space filled with unity, she could forge a new reality. But the shadows of her father's words lingered, slipping back into her thoughts like a thief. Progress, she reminded herself, one step at a time. Maya tugged her hand, leading her toward the center of the celebration. In that moment, the dojo transformed into a sanctuary, a place where she could both fight and heal. But could her father see the strength within that sanctuary? Mom, you have to show everyone your moves. Maya exclaimed, pouting slightly. You never show us how good you are. Are you sure about that? Shauna chuckled, her heart lightening a little, though the weight of expectation still clung to her. She felt her father's gaze, like a soft nudge in the back of her mind. Of course. They need to see what you're made of. You're amazing. Maya insisted, her enthusiasm igniting something within Shauna. Could this be a chance for her to rediscover herself? To rise up, to shine, just like she taught her daughter? All right. Shauna relented, laughter warming her chest. She knew she couldn't put it off forever. The more she avoided it, the more it loomed. Perhaps showing her strength, physical or otherwise, would even pave a clearer way to her father. As she stepped towards the mat, the air around her crackled with anticipation. Familiar faces beamed with encouragement, and a buzz of excitement filled the muscles in her arms and legs. Shauna took a deep breath, finding her center between the chaos and joy. With a graceful pivot, she sank low, executing a warm-up routine that had long been a part of her arsenal. Each movement flowed like water, confidence unfurling in each strike, each block. The room erupted into cheers, and for those few moments, the past memories faded with every swing. But the flicker of her father's figure at the edge of the mat remained a steady reminder. Could he appreciate this piece of her? Could it lead to something greater? A connection? She finished with a flourish, panting slightly but exhilarated. The cheers swelled, but in the back of her mind remained the question, what would her father's response be? "Oh my God, Mom." Maya rushed into her arms, squeezing tightly. "You're incredible. That was so cool." Shauna felt a swell of pride, mixed with the worry of what was left unspoken. "Thanks, buddy. It feels good to remind the world, and myself, too." But as she brushed her hair back and caught her breath, the celebration quieted momentarily, attention shifting. Her father stepped toward the edge of the mat. The crowd trailed off into a whispered hush, anticipation hanging in the air like the delicate balance of a tightrope. "I enjoyed watching you," he said, his voice cracking slightly. Shauna froze, every breath drawn tight in her chest. "Thanks," she replied, determined to maintain her composure. The past might still be an open book, but this was a new chapter. "Can we talk?" His eyes shimmered with something deep. Fear, uncertainty, maybe even hope. The crowd buzzed with intrigue, watching as Shauna hung in the balance. Taking that next step lingered in the air, and she wondered if she was ready not just for this moment, but for whatever lay beyond. Maya looked between them, confusion and concern lining her features, pulling at Shauna's heartstrings. "Okay," she finally replied, her voice steady yet soft, a flicker of determination sparking deep within. The crowd whispered once more, and all eyes were on them on Shauna's decision. What awaited them in that forthcoming conversation? Could it bring the bridge between their worlds, or would it reveal a chasm too vast to cross? Shauna took a deep breath, stepping away from the mat and into the open space between her father and the gathering crowd. The anticipation was thick, a tension she could feel not only in her gut, but also in the atmosphere, like straining a bowstring, waiting for the release. "Let us step outside," she suggested, her voice steady despite the race of her heartbeat. Maya's grip on her hand tightened briefly, almost as if sensing the weight of the moment. Shauna frowned slightly but pressed on, needing some privacy to navigate this delicate conversation. As they walked out together, the cool air of the evening brushed against her skin, cleansing but still carrying the remnants of a summer day. Shauna felt exposed and raw under her father's gaze. Once outside, the sounds of celebration faded to a background hum, swallowed by the silence of the twilight. "Here," she said, gesturing to a quiet corner of the dojo's outdoor area, away from prying eyes and ears. The soft glow of lanterns illuminated their faces, casting a gentle light that felt almost surreal. Her father nodded and followed. "I didn't mean to put you on the spot back there," he started, his voice low. "I just wanted to say how proud I am of you, of everything you've accomplished." The sincerity in his voice caught her off guard. She had expected more hesitation, more of the stuttered apologies that had defined their past interactions. "Thanks, Dad. It means a lot to me, but there is so much more we haven't talked about." His expression shifted, shadowed by the worry he carried. "I know there have been issues between us. I've made mistakes, and I'm sorry." He paused, searching her eyes as if he could unearth the words he needed to share. "I thought I was doing the right thing for you, pushing you to be better. I didn't realize it was hurting you." Shauna sucked in a breath, a flood of emotions crashing over her, mixing anger with understanding. "You pushed me because you wanted me to be strong, but that only made me feel weak. I felt like I never lived up to your expectations, like I had to prove something every single day. I didn't see it that way. I thought I was preparing you for the world," he said, his voice breaking slightly, revealing layers of regret. She studied him, searching for the father she once knew behind the walls he had built. "But look at us now," she said, her heart aching. "I feel like the distance between us just keeps growing. We've both lost so much. Maybe we can start over? I don't want to miss any more of your life," he said earnestly, a flicker of hope igniting in his eyes. Shauna hesitated. Could they truly reset? Rebuild their relationship with all its fractures and scars? "I want that too, but it's not going to be easy. Healing takes time. I'm willing to do whatever it takes," he promised. Her heart raced with flickers of hope. The shadows of doubt that had clouded her mind began to lift, but she still held reservations. Was it enough? Could words transform years of silence and hurt? Just as she was about to respond, a loud cheer erupted from inside the dojo, causing them both to turn. Maya appeared at the door, enthusiasm radiating off her small frame. "Mom, come join us. They're doing a group picture." Shauna felt a swell of pride again, but the weight of her father's stare reminded her just how much was left unsaid between them. She looked back at him, and they shared a moment imbued with unspoken questions. "Let us go," she said finally, forcing a smile. As they walked back toward the dojo, Shauna felt a surge of determination. Maybe this was a beginning, a chance to reclaim what had been lost. But uncertainty whispered at the edges of her mind. What did the future hold for them? Could they overcome the chasm of silence that had divided them for so long? The echoes of laughter and joy filled the air, but Shauna's heart was still tangled in thoughts of reconciliation. She was stepping into the light, but could she trust that it would last? As they walked back toward the dojo, Shauna could hear the chatter and laughter resonating like a comforting melody. She forced herself to focus on the sound, a warm distraction from the knot still twisting in her stomach. Maya was bounding ahead, her energy a stark contrast to the weight of the conversation lingering behind them. Shauna smiled at her daughter, wishing she could capture that pure joy and bottle it for later. Inside the dojo, the atmosphere was electrifying. Friends, families, and students streamed together, all radiating excitement. Shauna's heart swelled at the sight of Maya laughing with her friends, a group of kids who were blissfully unaware of the turmoil their parents sometimes encountered. But then, a pang of fear settled in her chest. Would she ever be able to give her daughter the relationship she deserved? The thought was a flickering candle in the night. "Mom, come on," Maya called, waving her arms excitedly as she joined the group, posing for the photo. Shauna took a deep breath and walked closer, her father trailing behind her. Fragments of their earlier conversation buzzed loudly in her mind, making it difficult to concentrate. Would she truly give him another chance? Did she even want to? As they gathered in a loose circle, laughter erupted again, and Shauna pushed her worries aside, trying to focus on the moment. She stepped into place beside Maya and smiled, forcing the anxiety down. "Say cheese," someone called, and the camera flash burst brightly, illuminating their faces with joy-filled stillness. For that split second, it felt perfect. The world seemed boundless, and yes, maybe it would be okay. But just as quickly, a shadow fell. A voice broke through her moment of bliss, tinged with tension. "Why is she standing next to you?" It was Jenna, one of the other students' mothers, her expression twisted in disbelief and disdain as she pointed at Shauna. The room fell silent, and the air thickened with apprehension. "What?" Maya blinked, confusion lining her youthful face. "She's my mom." "That's not fair, Jenna." "Yeah," Shauna said, stepping forward, her heart pounding. She felt a fire igniting within her. "What is your issue? We're just here to celebrate." Jenna crossed her arms, smirking. "You really think it's okay for my son Jason to be seen with, someone like you?" The words hung in the air, heavy with implications. People began to murmur, glancing nervously between Jenna and Shauna. Shauna's throat tightened as a rush of anger surged. She could feel a bubbling rage, but there was something deeper fear that this would be a moment where her struggle for acceptance would be exposed again. Maya stepped forward, glaring at Jenna. "Mom is amazing at martial arts. She's won competitions. You can't judge her like that." "Watch it, kid," Jenna shot back, but Shauna felt the warmth of her daughter's support wrapping around her like armor. Shauna took a step closer to Jenna, her heart thundering fiercely. "You have no idea what I've achieved or what I bring to this world. My worth isn't defined by your narrow view." Every eye was on them now. The crowd was a mixture of astonishment and murmurs of support. In that moment, Shauna could feel a shift in the energy, a ripple of uncertainty breaking the tension. "Mom, let us go," Maya urged, pulling at her sleeve. "No." Shauna stood tall, feeling empowered in the moment. "I won't let anyone define who I am or who I can be. Not anymore." But as she held her ground, a flurry of emotions swept through her. Would this stand be enough to change anything? Would it push her father back into old patterns of avoidance? Jenna rolled her eyes, about to retort, but an unexpected voice broke the tension. "Maybe we all need to rethink our perceptions here." It was a voice Shauna recognized, Mr. Tanaka, her old instructor, stepping forward, Shauna swallowed hard. The strength to stand up for herself was one thing, but would it be enough to manifest a lasting change? Would this moment of courage ripple through her relationship with her father, the community, even Maya? The room was still, it felt electric, charged with new possibilities. Shauna could feel her heartbeat in her throat as she tried to decipher what it meant to step into her truth. But did courage equal victory? Would the darkness of judgment shatter the resolve she had briefly found? As the crowd leaned in, she wondered what would happen next. The journey didn't feel straightforward. It was a dance of pain and progress, and she could either lead or fall. With the stakes higher than ever, Shauna stood firm, determined to find out what unexpected turns lay ahead, waiting just beyond this tense moment. Mr. Tanaka's presence had a calming impact. His voice, steady and wise, urged the tension to retreat. "Let us remember the spirit of this dojo," he said, scanning the faces that held varying degrees of disbelief and curiosity. "It embodies respect, discipline, and the strength to uplift one another." Shauna felt a momentary release. Eyes shifted from her to Mr. Tanaka, who was revered by many. It was as if he had cast a net, pulling focus away from the confrontation. But shreds of rage still threaded through Shauna. What she really wanted was for people like Jenna to understand, yet they remained stubbornly anchored in ignorance. "Maya, go to your friends," Shauna said softly, her voice almost a whisper. She needed to shield her daughter from this unwelcome spotlight. Maya hesitated, concern flickering across her face, but Shauna offered her a reassuring nod. "I'll be okay." As Maya joined the group, a knot of worry bubbled in Shauna's chest. If she was going to fight this battle, she would have to confront not just Jenna, but the judgments that plagued her life. Strength coiled within her. She wasn't the shy woman they all assumed. She was a monumental force, forged from years of grit and determination. Not backing down could mean something beyond this moment. The murmurs in the dojo began again. Some were supportive, others less so. Jenna rolled her eyes, but couldn't mask the flicker of uncertainty creeping into her features. Perhaps Mr. Tanaka's words had sown an inkling of doubt. "Look," Shauna began, keeping her voice steady. "This isn't just about you or me. This is about all of us. Are we really going to let a label stand between our children and friendships?" Jenna faltered. "You don't know what you're talking about." "I do," Shauna insisted, her voice growing stronger. "I worked hard to earn my place here. I've battled my own demons. I've faced judgment. But those who truly matter see beyond the surface." At that moment, Shauna saw Maya glance back at her, her eyes wide, brimming with pride. It filled Shauna with a rush of energy, a reminder of what she fought for. Strength blossomed within her, pushing her to dig deeper. The crowd began to murmur. Shauna could hear inklings of support. "Yeah, tell her," someone whispered. "She's right." Jenna's defenses began to crack, chipping away at her confidence. "You think that just saying a few words changes minds?" "Maybe not," Shauna replied, emboldened. "But taking a stand changes hearts. Maybe today isn't just about me or you. Maybe today is about showing our kids how to rise above ignorance. It's time to break the walls." With every proclamation, Shauna felt lighter. A tide of hope washed over her, spiraling through the dojo, weaving into the conversations of those gathered. Mr. Tanaka nodded, a glint of approval in his eyes. "That's what martial arts teaches us. Not just how to defend ourselves, but how to uplift each other. Each of you has an opportunity to make a difference today." Jenna's face paled as she glanced at the onlookers, uncertainty swirling in her eyes. Shauna watched, half hoping the fissures in Jenna's steely facade would open wider. "I don't see color," Jenna finally said, almost defiantly. "Maybe you should start," Shauna shot back, feeling the weight of her words hang in the air. "Because it's there, and ignoring it doesn't erase our differences." A murmur of support erupted, voices overlapping in a wave of agreement. Shauna felt a mixture of relief and exhilaration. No one was backing down. Just then, Maya slipped back to her mother's side, clutching her arm. "Mom, I think you changed something," she said, awestruck. "Let us hope so," Shauna replied, glancing around again, meeting the eyes of others who had been silent. But just as the room began to feel as if it might burst with newfound camaraderie, a voice from the back called out. "But what happens if it doesn't? What happens when the dust settles?" It was another parent, A man whose face Shauna recognized, but didn't know well. Shauna's heart raced again. The fight wasn't over. Hope and fear danced together in her chest. She realized there were bigger battles ahead, even if today had felt liberating. With the uncertainty looming, Shauna wouldn't let it dim her spirit. Wrapped in newfound strength, she was ready to face whatever came next. Could she really help reshape perceptions, one moment at a time? Time would tell, but she was ready to find out, even if that meant grappling with being vulnerable again. What awaited in the next conversation could change everything. Shauna felt the weight of the man's question linger in the air like thick fog. The murmurs around her dipped and surged, forming a chorus of uncertainty that threatened to drown her out. She took a breath, steeling herself. "It's a good question," she said, letting her voice rise above the noise. "But we can't know until we try, can we?" Those words seemed to hang there, suspended for a second. She glanced around, urgency igniting in her chest as she met the eyes of the crowd. Some were nodding, others looked doubtful, but Shauna sensed a flicker of hope peeking through the uncertainty. "Let me tell you something," she continued, her hands trembling slightly as she gestured passionately. "I have been judged for how I look, for my struggles, and for the choices I've made. But every single day, I choose to rise above that. Our children need to see us fighting for what's right. They need to see us working together, unwilling to back down." In the silence that followed, Shauna could feel the collective breath being held. The air was thick with anticipation. If we don't take this step, if we don't try to change perspectives, what future are we setting for them? Is that the legacy we want to leave? Jenna shifted, her earlier bravado slipping as the fire began to flicker out. "But it's not that simple," she started, her voice quavering. "People they can't change." "Yes, they can," Shauna shot back, a spark of fierceness coursing through her. "Change happens when we start the conversation. Change happens when we face the discomfort together. It's hard, yes, but it's possible." Maya squeezed her mother's arm, grounding Shauna amidst the emotional turbulence. She glanced down, and the warmth of her daughter's touch sent confidence flooding back. Shauna thought of the future. She wanted a world where Maya wasn't defined by the color of her skin, but celebrated for the brilliance of her spirit. Tanaka stepped forward, amplifying the energy in the room. "Let us remember what we practice here. This dojo is not merely four walls. It's a community, forged from trust, respect, and courage. We are stronger together." As he spoke, Shauna could sense new emotions bubbling, a collective yearning for connection, understanding, and change. She could see fathers, mothers, and children looking at one another, questioning everything. "And if we are to truly grow," Mr. Tanaka added, "we must confront our fears and biases head-on. This starts with us here, in this space." Jenna's eyes narrowed thoughtfully, and while Shauna could feel her defenses building again, there was a softness creeping into her expression. Maybe the reality was settling in. "What's your answer, then?" Jenna challenged, her tone tough, yet laced with curiosity. "What do we do if we can't change everyone?" "Let us start with each other," Shauna replied earnestly. "Small steps. Conversations. We can create a network of support. We can empower our children to do better because they've seen us striving for something more. Could it be that simple?" Shauna dared to hope. Just then, a soft voice piped up from the back of the dojo. It was a girl, perhaps around Maya's age. "I think it's about being brave enough to stand up for people who can't speak for themselves." Excited murmurs began to swirl again. Shauna's heart warmed as she observed newfound connections forming in the uncertainty, the realization that they all shared this space together. But just as it felt as though the energy was rippling positively, the man from earlier spoke up again, louder this time. "And after this moment, what actions will actually follow? What if it's all talk?" Shauna's stomach knotted, aware that words alone wouldn't forge real change. A wave of vulnerability washed over her. The question hung, heavy with expectation. She began, picking her words carefully. "I can promise that I won't stop trying. I'll reach out. I'll create a group to work through these issues. But I need you all to join me." The dojo fell silent, staring back at her with a mix of curiosity and cautious hope. In that moment, Shauna felt the ground solidify beneath her. She wasn't alone. Together, they would confront their fears, leaving the shadows behind. But would everyone be willing to step out into the light? What conversations awaited them? And could this be the rallying point that brought change, starting now? Maya's joy filled the dojo, her laughter bouncing off the walls as friends took pictures, celebrating a triumph that was so much more than just a victory in the ring. Shauna, standing at the edge of the scene, felt a mixture of emotions swirl within her, pride, fear, and hope tangled in a whirlwind. "Maya, you did it," Shauna called, her voice unwavering. Maya, glowing with energy, ran over, her eyes wide and brimming with excitement. "Mom, did you see my kick? I knocked him out," she exclaimed, bouncing on her heels. Shauna pulled her into a tight hug, feeling the warmth of her daughter's spirit flood her with strength. "I saw every bit, darling." "You were incredible," Shauna replied, tears brimming in her eyes. In the midst of adversity, Maya had found her voice, her fire, her fight. It was a testament to every struggle they endured together. But amid the celebration, a chill danced at the edges of Shauna's heart as her father's gaze weighed heavy on her. He stood nearby, watching, still wrapped in his own confusion, yet undeniably present. Was this a moment of reconciliation, or had it merely highlighted their fractured past? Shauna knew this was the pivotal moment, the moment to confront everything that lay beneath the surface. She took a deep breath, looking to Maya, who was giddy with excitement. "Listen, sweetheart," she began softly. "I need to talk to your grandpa." Maya's smile faltered, understanding the shift in her mother's tone. "I'll be right back," Shauna assured her with a smile, then turned to face the weight of her past. Every step toward her father felt monumental, yet this time, she no longer felt its burden. "Dad," she began, her voice steady, "we need to talk." He nodded, eyes wide and wary, yet some flicker of hope started to shine through. "I've been thinking about everything," he started, yet the words stumbled out like he was unsure where to land. "Do you understand where I'm coming from?" Shauna pressed, feeling the heat of the moment pulse through them. "It's more than just past mistakes. It's about building something real here together." She gestured toward the jubilant dojo, where people sang, laughed, and embraced. "Maya and I fought hard for this moment, and I want you to be part of it. But you have to truly see us, Dad." His eyes softened, the hardness there beginning to dissipate. "I'm sorry for the years I turned away, Shauna. I never understand now," she interrupted, not harshly, but with the clarity of purpose that burned in her heart. "You can start by accepting our reality. You can't keep holding on to prejudice. It doesn't help you or me. Maya deserves a full relationship with you, not half of the man I grew up with." There was silence between them, filled only with the distant cheers of celebration and unity echoing in the dojo. Shauna inhaled deeply, allowing that silence to settle. This moment mattered, not just for her, but for generations to come. "I'm ready to start over," he said, almost in a whisper, deep sincerity shining in his weathered gaze. "But I need your help to adjust. I've been set in my ways for too long." Shauna felt the tightness in her chest loosen a little. "It will take time, and I won't lie, it will be difficult. But I want to see you try to change. For Maya, for you, for us." He nodded, the gravity of his promise evident even in the slight dip of his head. In his eyes, she saw something she hadn't noticed before, a flicker of understanding. "I'll ask her about karate too," he added, hinting at a bridge they could both walk together. With a cautious yet bright smile, Shauna responded tightly. "That's a start." Maya's voice broke through the bubbles surrounding them, and like a fresh breeze, it brightened the room. "Can we do the group photo now? Everyone wants you to join." Shauna glanced back at the dojo, a mix of joy rising in her chest. "Let us go, Dad." As they stepped back into the vibrant light of the celebration, hand in hand, Shauna squeezed her father's arm gently, feeling a shift that marked an opening. For understanding, for healing, for hope. The gathering was full of laughter, shining faces, and friendships, and as the camera clicked, the snapshot immortalized not just the victory of Maya, but captured the inception of a new journey. A journey of embracing change, confronting fears, and cultivating unity amid diversity. Shauna felt relief rush over her. This was their moment, and though the path ahead was uncertain, they would navigate it together, one step at a time, rewriting their story in the process. When the moment came to truly change the narrative, Shauna swore to herself she wouldn't back down from the challenge. The dojo wasn't just where they had once fought battles. It was where they would forge new paths toward understanding and love. Each cheer, each laughter resonated within her, a reminder that transformation wasn't just possible, it was inevitable. For Maya, for them, they needed to rise. As the crowd erupted in celebration around her, Shauna understood they were no longer just fighting against shadows, they were stepping into the light, together. Now, join this journey and continue supporting it. You need to subscribe immediately to not miss these incredible stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and don't forget to comment below with your thoughts about this inspiring conclusion. Share instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is your moment to make a difference. Don't wait, not even one more second.